Welcome everyone. My name is Courtney Vaughn and I serve as the Director of Diversity Recruitment at Elon University. I'm also a very proud, Elon alumna. So everything that I chat with you all about this afternoon, I have lived through it. Granted, I graduated a couple years ago. I'm happy to share my experience, but I'm even more excited to share the experiences of current students that I work with on a daily basis and to chat with you all a little bit more about Elon. So the way that I'd like to kind of facilitate this is if you all feel comfortable turning on your video, that is great for us to be able to see one another. But I definitely hope that you'll engage in the chat room. That is a great way for you to send any questions, but also at the end of this session, we'll just kind of open it up and you all can turn on your video. And if you are familiar with the raise hand function on Zoom, that's a great way just for me to be able to call on you. But we've also got a smaller group, so I hope that you all will participate. So before I jump in, I do want to let you all know that this Google form is here in the chat, and this is for us to stay in touch with you. At Elon, we look at demonstrated interest because we want students on campus who want to be on campus, and you all are certainly doing that right now by logging in. So you can copy and paste that hyperlink into whatever internet browser that you use and fill out that information. Also, it would be great. I know that you all participate with the Emily K Center, and I love the center. We have really great students on campus already who are at Emily K. So if you all would go into the chat and just let me know what high school you go to, that would be great just for me to get an idea of where everybody is coming from. All right, we got Hillside, which is great. I visit Hillside usually in the year. It's a great school. Leesville Road, awesome. Anyone else? Both great schools. Very glad to have you all here. Okay, and I'm gonna make the assumption that I have all juniors, all high school juniors that are here as you all are wrapping up that year. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with the reaction setting on Zoom, but there is an option. If you look at the bottom of your screen, there's reactions. I think you put a thumbs up or a clap. There's no need to do the clap. But if you're a junior, go ahead and put your the reaction thumbs up. That would be great. Awesome. Okay. And then Jamie, Michaela, and Dwayne, are you all sophomores in high school?
Dwayne is a member of staff.
Oh, member of staff. Okay, great. Sorry. Thanks, Dwayne. Jamie. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and jump on in. Monica is in the 9th grade. Awesome. Well, thanks for logging on and getting your college experience started virtually. This is not usually how we do things, but it is certainly how we will do things now and make sure that we can stay in touch with you all. I've got a presentation for you to introduce you to Elon and to get a feel of how things are structured and how we approach your education. And then I'm happy to, again, answer questions as you have them. I'll have a couple of questions for you, so please hop into that chat and we will use that accordingly. All right, so first things first, where is Elon? Maybe you all have been to campus before, and maybe you have not. But we are over near Burlington, North Carolina. So we're about 45 minutes, maybe an hour from all of you who are over in the Raleigh-Durham area. Greensboro is about 30 minutes on the other side west of us, and then Charlotte is about 2 hours south. So as you think about style of school, we're in that medium-sized private liberal arts. Those are kind of the different sections that we hit. Burlington is kind of that suburban, kind of rural area. We're not in Raleigh, we're not in the middle of downtown Durham, but we certainly have a lot that's going on and students are never bored, and I'll talk about why they're never bored in just a little bit. We really do like the location. For you all, it's easy to get home in an afternoon or on a weekend if you'd like to, but our campus is not a suitcase campus. So even students from North Carolina are staying there and enjoying time with friends and the different activities that we have going on campus. Mountains and beach are about 2.5, 3 hours on either side of us. So you can certainly get to those areas if you'd like to. A lot of students will explore those during the different breaks that we have. So fall break, spring break, that type of thing. I mentioned that we're a medium-sized school. We have about 6,200 undergraduate students. About 20% of students come from North Carolina, and the other 80% are coming from all over the country and the world. I think the best part for you all coming from North Carolina is that you get to kind of be both in state and have that comfortability of being able to go home, but you will be surrounded by people from all over the place, so it might feel out of state. It feels brand new. It's not like something that you're not always with the people that you went to high school with or something like that. You get this new experience. Students are coming from 47 states. A lot of students come from the Northeast and kind of up and down that Eastern seaboard. We've seen a lot of growth over in California and Illinois and such. And then about 53 countries are represented on campus too. Just knowing that there is so much diversity of thought and perspective and background and creed and color of students coming from all over the world. And there's a lot of value added into your education when people are coming from all these different backgrounds. So as we talk about that, about 19% of our students identify as students of color. And while that number is not as high as we would want it to be, there's such a rich community within students of color on campus. If that is a group of students that you'd like to interact with, or if you identify as a certain way, you'll see a list on the right-hand side here of different global and inclusion engagement offices. And this is an opportunity for you all to either find community, connect, maybe deepen an understanding of your own identity, or learn about an identity that you don't have. The point being is the education that comes out of these opportunities and these spaces that we're able to provide. I'll talk a little bit about student to faculty and kind of staff ratios, but I really want to be clear in that there's a lot of support that students have at Elon, and a lot of those critical staff members that students feel very connected with come from these offices that you see here on the screen. Those 53 countries that I mentioned earlier, about 9% of our students are coming from one of those 53 countries. And then we have over 40 religions represented on campus. We know that diversity and inclusion means a lot of different things, and that everyone is coming to the table with a different identity or thought or something of that sort. But ultimately, we want you all to feel supported and empowered to share your story, and then to listen and challenge others just as they will with you. As we think about your time in college, we are thinking about 4 years. I'm sure you all are thinking about 4 years. And so we're going to think on that timeline with and for you. A lot of students at Elon either have 2 majors, or they have a major and 2 minors. There's just a lot of different combinations of things that they can do. And they're able to do that because of the 414 academic calendar. So what that means is that we've got 2 semesters, which is really typical and classic of your high school or maybe other colleges that you all are looking at. But we also have the winter term, and that is the month of January, and it acts on its own. So what that means is that it's 3 weeks in that month. You're either taking a class on campus, you are studying abroad, or you are completing an internship or something of that sort. Ultimately, you have a lot of flexibility with that time period, and over the course of your 4 years, it equates to a whole extra semester's worth of work. So if you want to finish off that sociology minor, or you want to fill in that public health major, you have the time and opportunity to be able to do that. You'll see a 91% retention rate between the first and second year. Why is that number important? Because if you come to Elon, we want you to stay at Elon, right? We want to be sure that we're supporting you throughout your 4 years, and our orientation process is over the course of an entire semester rather than just a weekend and then us saying good luck, right? It's rather, here are your resources, here are opportunities, have you been connected with this person, here is a mentor, and they'll take all of that knowledge and kind of go with that throughout those last 3.5 years. Our 4-year graduation rate that's reported here puts us in the top 100 schools in the country for 4-year graduations. Again, just to emphasize us on that timeline for and with you in the different majors that we offer. We do have over 60 majors offered to you all across 4 academic schools. We've got our College of Arts and Sciences, the Love School of Business, School of Communications, and the School of Education. If you are admitted to Elon, you are admitted to any of our majors with the exception of performing arts. Performing arts requires separate applications and audition processes, but other than that, you all can really have at it with what you're interested in. So this is where I'll ask another question. Do any of you know what you want to study in college, or is there any particular class that you all find interesting right now? You can put that into the chat. And Monica, that includes you in 9th grade too, whatever you might be interested in studying more. English, awesome. Science and arts, great. Well, biology, cool, good. These are all fantastic options. I think, and I'll just re-emphasize it, is the ability to jump right in, computer science, which is excellent. The ability to jump right into these different fields and to not have to, quote unquote, wait to take classes in your major is really impactful for our students, and to pair it with the liberal arts education helps you be able to dive into your interest, but then also apply that interest to other areas outside of that. And that skill is what's really valuable once our students become alumni. Some of you might be thinking about graduate school with some of these areas of interest, and we do have some graduate programs. These that you see that are bundled are opportunities for students to streamline their graduate and undergraduate in either 5 or 6 years. These other programs that you see are not necessarily streamlined, but you can definitely apply, hopefully be admitted, and then continue your education at Elon. All right, so I know a lot of you have probably college brochures on your kitchen table. I know you have emails in your inbox from colleges, and things can get a little overwhelming, right? You might really fall in love with one brochure, but then maybe you confuse a dining option with this school and such. I definitely remember that in my college experience. I have a younger sister. I remember that as she was looking at colleges too. So I always want to be really clear about why join Elon, right? Why join our community, and kind of what do we offer and how do we approach things that's a little bit different. What we're going to do, or what we do in the 4 years, is we see both the in and out of classroom experiences to be valuable, and we invest time and resources into each of those things. In high school, you have a schedule and you go through that schedule every day. In college, you might have class one day and you might have no class the next day, right? And we want to be sure that all of your time is being spent in a valuable way. Ultimately, all of this equates to you all getting a job or into graduate school, medical school, law school, whatever interest it might be that you have. So you'll remember I said we're a medium-sized school, right? I'm going to point out this picture really quick that you see on your screen. This is a picture of a lab. So Sonia or Monica, you might be interested in this, being interested in biology, maybe Jeremy in the sciences. But this is a real life picture of students in a lab working with a professor. You don't have to compete for lab time or anything like that. We want to be sure that you all are able to study what you're actually interested in. But I do want to just point that out, being that we can't have students on campus right now. All right, so over to the numbers, about 6,200 students again, right, in the student body. But we get to do kind of big and small school at the same time. And the small school piece is going to come into play when it comes to your academics. So the average class size is 20 and we cap your classes at 33. That's for any class that every Elon student has to take. That's for any introductory course. We want to be sure that you all are able to get to know your professor, because they are there to teach you. They want to educate. They want to invest time in you. Many students have their professors' cell phone numbers because that is just what we do at Elon. There's a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So as you think about advising or kind of meetings and such, there's no more than 11 other students that they're thinking about in that way. And all of our classes are taught by faculty members, which might seem like, of course, or duh, but some schools have teaching assistants or graduate assistants, and we don't have that. We have the people with the degrees and the research and the experience in these fields to be the ones teaching you all that material fresh, and they are available via office hours, all of those types of things. All right, so outside of the classroom, right, I said that this is a really big piece of Elon, and I think kind of the bread and butter of what we do. What you're seeing right now on your screen is not a picture of campus, but this is a picture of students studying abroad, which I'll talk about just now. So these are the 5 Elon experiences, and every Elon student has to do at least 2 of these before they graduate. We see many students are doing 3 or maybe 4 of them. Some even do all 5. But these end up being the things that you talk about after school and the things that get you connected and noticed when it comes to your resume and different experiences, or just things that help you find your passion. So we see about 83% of our students study abroad at least once before they graduate from Elon. How and why can so many students go abroad? Number one, we have programs all over the country and the world. So you can either stay in the United States, you could go to LA, DC, New York, or you could go around the world to South Africa or Thailand or France or etc., right? Wherever you'd like to go. My point being is that there are a lot of options for you all. You can go abroad as early as your first year or during your senior year. You can go for a whole semester or the winter term. It's whatever works best for your 4-year schedule, which again is why so many students are able to have that experience. I'll talk through internships in just a little bit when I talk about jobs, but about 89% of our students have an internship before they graduate. And I'm sure, as you all know, that pre-professional experience is just so important for many fields that might come to top of mind, but even fields that don't come top of mind, right? We want to be sure that we're getting you all connected. Research, leadership, and service, I think are kind of self-explanatory, but when it comes to these Elon experiences, we're looking at the depth at which you are participating rather than checking off boxes of all 5 of them. So your research might be a 1 to 2 year long research project of a question that you have that you feel very passionately about, and you're supported by a faculty member to do that. Or service learning is a whole semester's worth of work that you're doing with an organization and having that mutually beneficial relationship. Leadership is we have a 3-year model where you are learning to lead for yourself, lead for others, and then ultimately lead for change. So again, you can see the time investment in these types of things, but I'm also sure you can imagine the impact that it would have on you afterward. Again, just reiterating that these are the things that really help you get to the next step after graduation, in addition to your degree, right? So all of this is supporting and advancing your in-class work and really helping to shape that future career path that you might have. Now, not everything is about your resume, right? You all have different hobbies that you're involved in, maybe a club or organization you joined in high school, maybe you are involved in community service in your area. We've got we have 17 Division I sports teams. We're in the CAA, or the Colonial Athletic Association. So we play up and down the East Coast with 17 Division I sports teams. What you see here is our brand new Shar Center that just opened up. I guess it would have been this past fall or the fall before that. It's our largest space on campus, which will obviously have to be modified in terms of capacity now with COVID-19, but you can just see the excitement. You see this spells Phoenix, that's our mascot. But it's a lot of energy. Obviously, college basketball is a big deal. I'm not from North Carolina, so I had to learn that that was a big deal. But there's always a lot of energy around our teams in the winter. We tailgate for football games. Baseball and softball teams are really talented in the spring. So if sports is a part, or you want that to be a part of your college experience, it certainly can be at Elon. All right. I hope you remember when I said you shouldn't be bored at Elon, because it is true. We've got over 280 clubs and organizations, and you can see all of these different categories are kind of where those clubs and organizations are. So it could be Greek life, it could be culture, religion, community service, programming, government, etc. You just have so many different options to get involved. And if something doesn't exist, then you create it. And it's very much as simple as that. So I think it's if you and 5 friends have an interest in something and you have a staff member to back you up, then you've got a club created. Just 2 years ago, I was talking about 250 clubs and orgs to students. So 34 new opportunities have been created in the past 2 years. All right, so then what's the point of all of this, right? Will I get a job? Will I be able to do what I want to do after school? We're happy to report yes. So you'll remember I talked about internships. This list that you see here is obviously not exhaustive, but I think a really good snapshot into the different areas that students go to. You'll notice that these are not concentrated in North Carolina or any other region of the country or the world, but rather are just areas of interest for students, and they've been able to acquire that professional experience in these areas. We also have several alumni who work here in these areas, so a really great network for you to be able to connect with. Now, we do a survey with the students the day they graduate and then 3, 6, and 9 months afterward to see where they've landed. You'll see about 95% of students or alumni at that point were either employed in graduate school, completing an internship of some sort, which is great. We say, okay, awesome, right? They're going off and doing something productive. But the number that I really like is that the percent of students that are in a job, 92% of them are in jobs directly related to their career goal. So as you all are here this afternoon and listening into this session, you might have a dream job, a dream city or area or industry that you would love to go into. Some of you might know exactly how to do that, and some of you might be thinking, I don't even know where to start, right? Ultimately, what we want to do is to be able to set you up to get there, right? We see that as our responsibility to make sure that you have the knowledge and the connection to be able to do that. And we're really glad about the students that are doing that post-graduation. Okay, now there's a cost to all of this, right? And as you all are looking at college, there are 5-digit numbers and you multiply it by 4 and we're talking about a lot of money. So I'm gonna put, you'll see a screen of the total cost of attendance, but then I'm also gonna talk about scholarships and how to offset that. So bear with me here because I know it can be overwhelming. First things first is talking about the value of the education. As you all look at colleges, you will see a lot of huge numbers. We're glad that our large number is about $10,000 or $15,000 below other schools that you might be looking at. Now, as I said, here's your total cost that includes room and board. At Elon, you're required to live on campus your first 2 years, which is why we talk about total cost rather than just tuition. Up here, you see the FAFSA and CSS profile about financial aid. We need both of those documents for you to be considered for need-based financial aid. If you are not sure what those acronyms are or what those mean, you will know what they mean as you keep going through the college process, as those will start coming up more often in the fall time, especially for you juniors that are on the call. Now, what I think is even more important are the scholarships to offset that cost, right? So these merit scholarships that you see here at the top, those are scholarships that students are automatically considered for just by clicking submit on the application. The Presidential Award is a merit-based award where we look at GPA and test scores only and say yes or no. That's the only part of the application process where we will do that. Everything else is very holistic in nature, and I'll talk about what that means in just a second. The Elon Engagement Scholarship is where we're doing that holistic review, which means we're looking at everything that you've submitted, but then we ask the additional question, do you embody the values of Elon? I'll give you a couple tips and tricks of how to tell us that on the application in just a moment. All of our international students are considered automatically for international scholars, very similarly to presidential and Elon Engagement. Now, these scholarship programs here that you see, these require separate applications because these are honors programs that you could be a part of throughout your 4 years. So Fellows is a merit-based honors program where we have 6 different fellowships. 4 of them are specific to those 4 academic schools I mentioned, and 2 of them are not major or school specific. Within each of those, there are about 30 or 40 students. There is an application and an interview process, but a great way to kind of jumpstart your time in college with a group of students, and you kind of travel through your 4 years with them. Scholars is very similar to Fellows, except it's 2 years. You would receive money for all 4 years, but those programs are around topics like
Yeah, Courtney. Participants, so it looks like Courtney may be having some Wi-Fi or technical issues. We'll just wait for her patiently until she comes back. And then
programs, some of our merit-based and need-based. The Odyssey program, namely, is very near and dear to me in that I work closely with Odyssey students, but it is need-based and merit-based. So it's a group of about 45 students who travel through their 4 years together in a program that is run out of the Center for Access and Success. And there is financial literacy, mentorship, professional development, etc. in this program. And the best part is that it has our largest scholarships that we offer at Elon, and we meet your demonstrated need. And we get that need from the FAFSA and CSS profile. So we need those two in order for you to be considered for Odyssey. And then Accelerated Pathways is an opportunity for any of you that might be interested in the health sciences. It's a direct pathway into our graduate programs for physical therapy and physician assistant studies. Again, happy to answer more about those scholarships just in a minute and if you all have them. So the application process, actually, let me go back to this screen just to explain what is there and what part of campus this is. This is kind of the main portion of campus. This is the Alamance building where a lot of administrative offices are, but also the English department. And I know someone was interested in English. And we're known for our fountains on campus. And this is one of our main fountains that you will see on different pictures and such. But on a beautiful spring day, sitting around this fountain is where to be. So enjoy that photo. Now, when it comes to applying, you all have 3 different platforms you could apply through at Elon. It does not matter which one you choose. They all exist for convenience for you all. So you pick which one works best for you. Many students choose the Common App because that's just such a widely accepted application around the country. On the screen now, you see GPA and test ranges, and these are middle percent ranges. So some students are above and below what you see, but I do want to provide some of the GPA kind of context. We reweight and recalculate your GPA according to your honors, AP, IB, and dual enrollment classes that you might be in. So we do that in-house. We will see your high school GPA, so we'll see Hillside or we'll see Leesville Road, but what we'll evaluate is your Elon GPA. Average test scores for the GPA for the Odyssey Scholars Program and your other merit-based. What will the selection process look like this year due to the coronavirus? That's a great question. So for Odyssey Scholars, we actually don't look a ton at test scores. We do need them to be admissible, but we also understand there's a lot of context around test scores. What we're more interested in for Odyssey is your GPA because we want to see what that overall performance is going to be because that's what is going to happen over your 4 years. So we want to see an upward trajectory with your GPA on your transcript. Now, the effect of coronavirus, at this time, we are still requiring test scores. My best piece of advice is to stay tuned because those things can and most likely will change very soon. So stay tuned. For the other scholarship programs, those will still require test scores in order to be considered because they are merit-based. The Fellows program, I'll put a link in the chat for more specifics about the Fellows program, just because there are 6 different groups and they each have their own criterion. So I'll get that link and send it to everybody in just a moment. Does the university accept self-reported ACT, SAT scores? At this time, we do not. We do require them to be officially reported from either the College Board or ACT. But again, stay tuned on any changes about that possibly soon. So if you can't tell, if you aren't already checking your email, make sure you check your email often. Just because things are changing so quickly because of coronavirus, but we want to be sure that we are communicating with you immediately about any and all of these possible changes that come. Yes, we will. Scores can be reported either officially from ACT and College Board, or they can be reported on official high school letterhead by your college or guidance counselor, which could also come from Emily K, I believe, but we can stay in touch and definitely make sure that those scores get in. In regard to your self-reported, this is getting a little bit into the weeds, but if you were to self-report your scores, it does help us get in touch with you faster to get your scores officially so that we can complete your file. Ultimately, we want to make sure your application is complete for us to review it successfully. So we will always be in touch with you about that. All right. When it comes to your SAT and ACT, if you all take these tests and if you take them multiple times, please send us all of your scores, all of those reports. We can super score your SAT. The ACT is not as easy to do that just because it doesn't add across. However, we want to see those highest sections and highest composite score. These are really good questions about all of this because I know that it's changing a lot. All right, now in terms of the application, there are 3 main portions to it. The first part is your extracurricular activities list, and what we are more or less asking is, what else do you do other than go to class? You've got to go to class, you got to take your tests, you got to write your papers. But are you involved in your community? Have you had a leadership role? Have you already had a job over the summer? Have you been recognized on a team or individually? All those types of things. The college admissions process is not the time to be humble. This is the time to tell us everything that you've been doing, and we're asking you for a reason. That's a part of the holistic review because we know that you are more than those earlier numbers that I just showed, right? You all are involved in Emily K Center. You would put that on your extracurriculars, right? You might be involved in Hillside or Leesville Road, right? All those types of things, and we want to know that. Being kind of exhaustive in that list that you provide is a great way to earn the Elon Engagement Scholarship because you are telling us everything that's going on so that we can put together the entire picture of who you are. Now, when it comes to the essay, you will have 6 or 7 options in terms of essay topics. You're going to pick one and write up to 500 words, and you're going to make sure you proofread all of those words and make sure that it's a really good piece of writing that you're submitting. My biggest recommendation is to use the resources around you, especially with the Game Plan College team at Emily K. They are in your corner. They want you to get into college, so please let them help you. You all have a story to tell, and we want to know that story, and I encourage you to be as open as you feel comfortable when writing those essays, just because it lets us get to know you the best. And then finally, the school report. That's going to come from your college or guidance counselor, and that'll let us know what's offered in your high school so that we can evaluate you in the context of what has been offered to you. That'll be critically important, especially this year as schools have different policies around what has been going on with coronavirus and earning a letter grade or pass fail, all those types of things. That school report will tell us everything that we need to know as we recalculate that GPA and evaluate you for admission. There is a way, or another way to start college, which is starting in Dublin, Ireland. This program could be edited, right, given travel restrictions and such, but if me saying Dublin to you all just sparked your interest, I would encourage you to check out a little bit more about possibly starting your first semester of college in another country. All right, I'll talk through next steps, and then I will kind of open it up for any questions that you might have. We've got 3 different deadlines. One is early decision. That is a binding agreement, meaning that if you apply and are admitted, you will attend the following fall. That's regardless of financial aid, athletic tryouts, or performing arts auditions. So I don't recommend this option if you plan on applying to Fellows or Odyssey or are going to rely on that financial aid package. And that is okay, right? That's for a student who knows without a shadow of a doubt Elon is the place that they're going to go and they're going to make it work financially. It's okay if that's not your situation because we have early action, and that is non-binding but still early. So you can apply to Elon early November and find out right before kind of around the holiday break of an admissions decision. Let's say Elon is your top choice and you would really love to attend Elon. That's why demonstrated interest plays a part. That's why I put that link in there so that we know that that is of interest to you. And I'll put my contact information in the chat as well. Please stay in touch with me. You're not bothering me by sending me an email. I enjoy emails. I want to stay in touch with you all. So please stay in touch. And then if any of those deadlines don't work, we still have the regular deadline. So hopefully that'll work for you too in early January. And then we'll let you know around the end of March. All of those scholarships that I spoke about that require those separate applications, those applications are due on January 15th, and those applications become available after you submit your first year application. So you are certainly welcome to apply to those no matter what deadline you apply to Elon. I'll leave this here for a minute so that you can either take a picture or whatever you want to do, but I think a great way to stay connected is through social media. We are using a lot of social media. It's a great way to stay updated on maybe student highlights, virtual campus tours, different sessions we're doing with different areas of campus. And yeah, it's a good way to do that. Do you have any virtual visits or other virtual resources? Yes. So right now we're hosting junior virtual sessions, which is really this presentation. And then there's kind of a Q&A time, but we will continue offering a lot of different things. I have a program with some tour guides that I work with where I try to pair students one-on-one to talk about the student experience. We are looking to create a more robust virtual tour, but I'll drop that link in the chat too. It's called Life as a Phoenix, and there's just some really good videos on there for you to kind of get an idea of what campus really looks like. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and you all can see me. I am going to ask you all, what questions do you have? As you put those in the chat, I'm going to gather up a couple of links to share with you, just so that you have all of your resources there. If a student desires to reside on campus for all 4 years, is it possible? It is possible. About a total of about 69% of the student body lives on campus. We have apartment style living for our upperclassmen. We just don't have housing for all of our upperclassmen. If a student were to live off campus, they would live in an apartment complex that surrounds the campus, which are all less than a mile. So you can still walk to class, but we also have a, we call it the bio bus for any days that are cold or rainy or the one snow we get a year, right? You can hop on the bus and get to campus too. But that part is kind of a part of campus culture. So you will not be without a place to live, I promise. It's a good question though. Also, can campus dining accommodate special diets? For example, gluten-free, 100%, absolutely, all the time, yes. We have 3 all-you-can-eat buffet-style dining halls, and they're very delicious. To kind of do a plug for another Instagram for you to follow, at Elon Dining. I will let it speak for itself, but the food is delicious on campus for all diets. It's really delicious. So if you have a special diet or an allergy or a religious affiliation that has dietary restrictions, we are happy to accommodate those. Things to do on campus, asking for students who may have concerns, going somewhere rural, who may be from a city. So this is a great question. I'll first talk as a couple of students that I've heard who are from big cities and come to Elon. What I've heard them say is that, number one, it's nice to kind of get out of the experience that you are super familiar with and to try something new for 4 years, because you can always go back, right? You can always go back to that city life. But in terms of things to do, there's just always something going on campus. So people are never bored. I mean, that could range from an a cappella show to a sports game to a comedian. We brought Nicole Byer onto campus before COVID-19. There have been like campus-wide bingo games where you can like win a bike or an iPad. There's some nights you just want to do a movie night with your friends, which is definitely okay too. But we definitely have things going on all the time. We have a student union board, and their job is to make sure there are things to do. So they've changed the they've changed the student center into this like neon light arcade, and that is something they never did for me when I was at Elon. But I saw those pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, they had like neon skee ball and ping pong and stuff. So it's always definitely very fun. But I will say again that it's not a suitcase campus. Do some students go? I mean, if your favorite artist is like in Raleigh one night, absolutely go to Raleigh and see that concert. Greensboro has a really big food truck festival in the springtime. Absolutely go to that. But we also have some clubs and organizations on campus that will explore the state a little bit more. And you all are from North Carolina, but because so many of our students are from out of state, it's a fun experience to share your home with someone who has never been there before. So you might find new joys in visiting Raleigh-Durham and kind of seeing excitement from your friends, or going down to Charlotte if you don't do that often, and going to, I think it's the Hornets, right? A Hornets game and such. So there's kind of different opportunities to explore that way, which I think puts a new lens on home. So would you say that the on-campus social life scene is active? 100%, absolutely. One of my favorite things about Elon students, I showed you those 280 clubs and orgs. Elon students are not just like one thing, right? So you're not just a bio major and like, good for you, you got a bio degree. No, you got a biology degree and you were involved in, let's say, Greek life, and you were also involved in residence life and had a leadership role there. And you got deeply invested in the Burlington Housing Authority and working with young kids. Oh, right. And you studied abroad in Chile for a semester, right, in your junior year. So right there, you just have this whole, again, you're not just like one thing, right? You have multiple kind of areas of involvement. But that social life and scene comes from being so involved in like having a meeting to go to or an activity to do, or supporting your friends in those ways as well, right? Because you'll have those different circles of friends. And it's really fun to be able to support your friends and kind of see their passions and to see them light up as well. So there's always a bunch going on. These are good questions. I'm gathering up a couple of things. What would you say are your most popular majors, most unique or strongest majors? That's a good question. I'm going to pull up an internet page actually, and I'm going to share my screen so that you all can see the list of majors that I think would be good as I speak about this. So let me see. All right, so you all should be able to see my web browser right now, and I'm just going to slowly scroll through this as I talk. So I mentioned that we have over 60 majors offered to the students across the academic schools. And some of our top majors, the top 5, are strategic communications, which is like PR and advertising, finance, accounting, biology, and psychology. So what does most popular mean? It means that these are the majors where the most students are majoring. But with over 60 offerings, right, you can see that students are in a ton of different things. And all of these over here that you see are minors as well that students can pick up. In terms of strongest majors, they're all strong, I'd say, with over 60, but our music theater program is one of the top programs in the country, like top 5. So that's obviously really competitive just from an audition perspective. But as you think about talent that's on campus, if you're not into musicals, you can certainly get into them because they go to Broadway very, very often. So again, okay, you can kind of, I'll scroll back up so you can see them again. But some really cool opportunities. The most unique majors, dance science is kind of cool. That's a combination of dance and exercise science. We combined both of those curriculum because students were interested in that. Communication design is not new anymore for us anyway, but a really great opportunity for students to kind of put that graphic design and creativity at work while still being strategic with it. Astrophysics we just added this year, which is really exciting. Arts administration is kind of the business side of art, in case you're interested in that. So think museum curator, think art gallery owner, that type of thing. I think a lot of creativity is over here in the additional minors. So we've got digital art, game design, there's adventure-based learning, which is really cool too. So a lot of great stuff there. Is your engineering major general engineering? So we have a 4-year program for computing engineering and biomedical engineering. Any other engineering program is a dual degree where you're at Elon for 3 years and then a partner school for another 2 years. And at the end of those 5 years, you'll have 2 bachelor's degrees. Why would you do that? You don't have to do an application to get into our engineering program, and you can kind of start smaller and then kind of grow up to those other larger, more selective programs. And you have that kind of like smaller nature where you have that one-on-one time. Some of those schools that we partner with are Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Penn State, Notre Dame, Clemson, etc. So we pick those strategically based on their strengths in different areas of engineering. Let's see. What is the role of the essay in the application process? How important is this? What makes an essay a great essay? Those are really great questions. So the role of the essay is for us to get a little bit more of a peek into your story beyond a list and beyond a number, right? So, excuse me, all other portions of the application, you know, we'll see how you did in class, we'll see what you're involved in. But as we see those numbers or information, we don't know the story behind it, right? We don't actually know who you are still. So the essay is an opportunity for you to tell us that story, right? And to tell us a little bit about who you are, to tell us what is that really important moment in your life that either makes you want to go to college or makes you want to study English, or what was a hurdle that you got over that you're really proud of that has kind of helped you become the person that you are, those types of things. What makes a great essay? You guys will hear this if you go to essay workshops or talk to more college reps, but the first things first, make sure you hook us in, right? I wouldn't start the essay with, this is my college essay, right? Okay, great. I know, that's why I'm reading the college essay, but jump right into your story, whatever it is, right? Get our attention. Start with a quote that somebody had said to you. My piece of advice is to beware the sports essay. We read a lot of sports essays. There's nothing wrong with that being a big part of your life, but make sure it goes beyond just winning the championship, right? We read a lot of those essays. So that's kind of a pro tip to you all, to find another part of something. And you all, I mean, but if that is really important, like tell us a piece of that story that's really good. The essay can make us laugh, it can make us cry, it can be super happy, it can be controversial, right? But whatever it is, make us feel something, right? Make us feel kind of one of those things. Do you have to later be admitted to those schools for engineering? Yes. The process though for that is that if you're doing what you need to do within our program, then we're preparing you to be accepted into those. And we will let you know ahead of time if it's not looking like that. We'll make sure we keep you on track. These are good questions. I have a question for you all, actually. What, I guess the first question is, how did you find out about Elon? I'll let you guys answer that, and then I'll go to my next one. While I grab a couple, I'll keep grabbing these links. And it's okay if this is the first time you're hearing about Elon. I'm glad that you're hearing about it.
Well, I to begin with, this is Dwayne. So, and I have friends who've been to Elon. One of my friends actually is now an epidemiologist at NIH. and he went there to begin with. We've at the center too, we've had several students who have gotten into Elon. Last year, though, one of our students, Elon was her first choice, I will add, and she really, really wanted to go to Elon, but it turned out that she went to another school for whatever reason. And I've been to Elon's campus, and it's a very beautiful campus too.
It is a beautiful campus. I would say you all are at a big advantage being close by in that you can drive through if you'd like to. Right now, obviously, we're not having formal visitors on campus in that way, but if and when we do, please come by. I would highly recommend it. Oh, awesome, Jackie. Well, I'm glad that you applied and can learn about updates that have happened since. I'm putting a link in here about the Odyssey program for you all too. And then I'll put my information. There you go. There's my email address too. And then I guess my other question for you all is what do you hope to get out of your time in college? Like what's a goal that you have post your 4 years? Study abroad and opportunities to explore interests. That's a great one. A lot of students look at Elon because of the study abroad program. That is a really big draw. We have the #1 study abroad program in the country. So for that reason, it's just having the programs be so accessible for all students. So engineering students can go abroad, music theater students can go abroad, right? With some of these majors that might traditionally, it might seem difficult, right? Or some of these outside of the classroom experiences might seem unattainable. We are glad to have made our curriculum set up so that any student can participate in any of these experiences. Nothing that I have talked about today has been major specific in that you can only have this opportunity if you're this major, right? We want any student to be able to have these different offerings because a sociology major has great perspective for an engineer, right? Or vice versa. There's a lot of knowledge sharing that can happen. Is there funding students can apply to for experiences for the January term? We have the Global Education Center is where Study Abroad is run from, and they have some scholarship funds for students. In the Odyssey program, all students are required to study abroad or to study away from campus, and they get a $4,000 grant to do that. The Elon Engagement Scholarship includes a $2,000 grant to do one of those 5 Elon experiences, which one of those could be study abroad. And then within the fellows programs, those are more prescribed just because it's a program that you go through. So for example, business fellows have gone to Southeast Asia, they've gone to Europe. Our leadership fellows go to, they go through the Deep South and do a civil rights trip in the Deep South United States. So some of those are built in. I would say look into those because that might help maybe guide a little bit of your interest in the fellows programs, but a great way to combine, right, like Elon travel and that. And all of those fellows, or at least the 2 that I just mentioned, happened during that January term. Well, it looks like it's 3 o'clock and I think that's my time. But if you all will go ahead and use that form, that way I can stay in touch with you all, and I'll also send that to the Game Plan College team so that you all can fill that out and we can stay in touch. I'll also send that Odyssey and Fellows links just so that you all can access that via email. But I definitely hope to hear from you via email soon, or we can set up our own Zoom call or whatever you guys need. But good luck as you wrap up this school year. I know that this is not how you planned things. It's not how we did either, but thanks for being flexible with all of us and learning a little bit more about Elon.
Thank you so much, Courtney. And we remind students to definitely fill out the survey Ms. Courtney Vaughn sent. And we also remind participants that you can fill out our survey, that it's very quick for your chance to be entered into a raffle. And again, thank you, Courtney. We really appreciate it. I know I learned a lot more about Elon than I already knew, and I think it's a great institution and a great option for students. So thank you for sharing.
Of course. Thank you all so much. You have a good day.
Thank you, you too.